And, this is not the first time this has happened. I mean, this is one of these things where basically he hit her and everybody said that basically it's one of these things where this is probably, people who are in these abusive relationships get hit multiple times. So what's got to happen is this guy's got to get some sort of help, and there's got to be some recognition of what's going on. The bigger picture is what happened behind the scenes. Did Goodell really see what was going on before? And did he see the punch 2 months ago and decide not to talk about it? That's, I think, going to be the bigger story that's going to come out over the next week or so.
Do you think that Goodell
go ahead.
really fight about this?
Oh, look, it wouldn't be the first time these guys try to, finesse the truth. I mean, there's no doubt that, he's Goodell's or any of these guys, if they can feel like they can, at least if it's at a point where they can kind of, finesse it in. Where, all right, we didn't see it, and then after a while the press goes down and they can get away with not, saying that they, saw the critical video. They're going to do it because, they've probably done it many other times. I think this time they might actually nail him. I actually think Goodell really might lose his job because of it, because it looks like, people are saying, I think Rice said today that he actually told Goodell about the punch, and I think that's the key thing. I think that would be unacceptable.
So tell me why this is that big a deal.
And why it's that big of a deal?
Yeah,
well,
they're football players. Let me ask it. Let me ask it this way. I'll be a little more. You know what? I'm getting a feedback. Can you turn my volume down just a little bit for you?
Yeah, sure.
Right on. All right. So here's the question. To me, to be fair, this is what I said earlier. I think a couple of people are taking my point of view here. First of all, it is a legal matter, right? You can't go on the ooh-ah of the crowd and the public. You put on a piece of inflammatory tape like that, and you'll never do the right thing because you're getting people riled up. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, let's take the football player out of it. It's two people that work in a company. But now I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to say if a big guy slugs a little guy, there's no domestic abuse going on here. This is two guys drinking. Right. They're on an elevator. They had a few drinks. They get into an argument about sports, whatever. The guy turns on and clocks the other guy. Mm-hmm. Now, if they are friends of 25, 30 years and went to high school together, and they wish to forget it the next day, nobody does anything. And you say, but the big guy took advantage of the little guy. The little guy never had a chance. That was battery. That's right. But, they know each other. This is what it is. It's none of your business. Doesn't look good, but it's none of your business. Now, on the other hand, let's get the women involved. Let's make it a woman's question and say, what if a big drunken girl, like they do on television with these diva shows, slugs another girl? A little skinny, effeminate thing, a little delicate, I'm just a girl, and then some brutish chick clocks her out. So I've had it with you. Boom, hits her, knocks her out. Now what? Are you going to start a big camp? Of course not. So this is, to me, what's wrong with what's going on. We're buying into it's radioactive because it's a husband, wife, boy, girl, and it's radioactive. It's not any more radioactive than any other bad behavior. But, this is especially... give me a break. I've had it with this. I don't buy this anymore. I'm too old now to listen to society rediscovering Cain and Abel. This is a story of Cain and Abel. I can't sit for it again. You're shocked that people do this. You're shocked at how it looks. So, in my opinion, to answer your question, then you could take a stab at this. I'm not sure it matters if Goodell lied. I don't think you have to kiss ass on everybody worried about everything. If there was a court case, if he was being challenged by his wife, that's a different story. His wife said, leave us alone and let my husband play football. And that's why those women wore that jersey last night at the game. Women
Right.
wore jerseys to say, don't take their paycheck away. Don't take their livelihood away because you disapprove. They've already admitted they were wrong. You're not allowed to pile on them. I think there's an argument there. Why are they getting piled? What are they, Jesse James? What are they Osama bin Laden? Come on, man. So what do you think? Is it going way too far? Now we're going to perfect every marriage that has a domestic abuse problem because he's a football player? What are you going to give him? Pills because he's a football player that make him not be a human being? So human beings have the same problems that everybody else has. There's more domestic violence in America than ever. What do you single? So that's what I say to Goodell and everybody else. It doesn't matter. It's your league.
Yeah. Right. I mean, and here's the thing the way I see it. I mean, we've been around a while. We've seen things really on these attitudes change over 30 or 40 years. And like you said, this isn't, like a hot button issue. This is like, a kryptonite type issue.
Radioactive. Right. Horrible.
And let's bring something else into it because it's one thing in terms of the relationship between those two people, between the man and the wife. Now let's bring Goodell into it, and I want to bring something else. Remember the whole Paterno thing. Let's talk about that too, because I think this sort of ties in to what's going on. People now, basically, when you hit one of these, like you said, radioactive issues, they have a no tolerance for things, and they will not, with somebody like Goodell or Paterno, they have absolutely no tolerance for attitudes where basically a lot of times, like you said, there could be gray areas, there could be a sort of thing where you say, like you said, the wife could have came up to him and said, look, this is,
First of all. Second of all, it went to court. It went to court. In other words, once you go to court, in my opinion, this is just, I think they're being hypersensitive because they've clinging. It's so inflammatory that if you're a radical on this issue, how are you not going to grab this tape and use it to radicalize everybody about domestic abuse, pro-feminism, blah, blah, blah. But honest to God, this happens all the time. Drunk people throw their girlfriend out the window. Drunk people run their girlfriends over in the driveway. You don't read this? I mean, it's every day. So I do believe, I believe that Goodell and Paterno is a different case because it's kids, right? A school has got to protect kids. That's a little bit different than the NFL has to make nice, players. NFL must have vicious on the field, and they must be delicate little flowers. No, this is what badasses do. They smack their girlfriend. What badasses do? They mouth off to a cop. What do? They punch a guy in a parking lot. That's what people do. This is not. So I feel he does not owe the public anything on this issue. He should say it went to court. Check with the judge. I don't want to know. I deliberately didn't look at the tape. I don't want to see the tape. That's not my job. My job is not to go follow this guy around. I saw what the court did. I read the court papers, and we're proceeding. If you don't like it, go to court and appeal it. Say if you think you know more than the court does and the judge, then you go down there. But don't come to me. I have a football league. The people like him. By the way, he's not an evil guy who's been always evil. This is his first bad move in public. So he's got all this built-up goodwill. That's what I would not tolerate. I have to answer for the tape. What did I do? Oh, my God. This is all Chicken Little. The sky is falling. We're being invaded by these people in the Middle East, and we're worried about some football player. And the wife says, leave us alone. And ever since she said that, it's been hell's bells. That's what cranked this issue up. Once she said, leave us alone, now they're on him like a pack of wolves. Because, he's got her under his spell. This is the abuser. He's keeping her for... Oh, what a bunch of horse crap. I saw this movie. It's called Thelma and Louise. Enough. We're moving on. That's my answer to this issue. Move on. The court is the last thing you can hold against him. You can't hold against him all the subjectivity. Whatever the court did, that's what he did. Whatever he pleaded guilty to, that's what he did. So what about that?
Well, again, the thing is with any, I think, if you're the head of the NFL or whatever, there is like a PR aspect to all of this, and that is the problem. The problem is that he's not. I mean, he isn't the court. He isn't a judge, but he's, things go. Look, things go both ways. Let's bring in another. Here's another thing that
Well, what is the other way? Yeah, tell me what other way is there to look at this? What he did? He punches her out. They go to court. He goes to court. He gets his diversion, which they give to every first-time offender. Even if you embezzle money and it's the first time, they don't put you in jail. A lot of people go home after crimes. He wouldn't be the first guy that went home. Okay, so where is it the other way? I mean, show me the other side of this. What is the other side? What is the public authority to destroy this guy? Other than having a good time destroying him because, it's fun to destroy somebody. Look at that tape. You see her go down. Look at that tape. You see her go down. I got it, but that's no way to treat him at his job. Doesn't he have any rights to be treated by the law? The law says what he did.
I agree with the whole aspect of, the law makes a decision on what he did, and then he has to pay that price. Absolutely.
And that's it. That's the record. The record is I'm diverted. I'm not going to jail. I'm a good guy.
This question now goes beyond that. It's more of a thing of, what this is, the public forum, the public outcry, really in certain sense is not so much with him. It's perception that Bell and other people have decided to, basically take things.
Good. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. No, let's talk about it. You said it. Misogynist.
That's what it really is.
Misogynist, right? Misogynist, right? But now let me ask you something. Is the country free to be misogynist under the Constitution? If you want to be an openly misogynist person, are you perfectly allowed to do that and you can't get arrested and you're not allowed to be piled on and you shouldn't be attacked? Or you're totally not free. Being a misogynist, not allowed. We've decided against it, and if you do it, they wreck your career, and that's that. You deserve to get your career wrecked. Which is it? Because I thought I lived in a free country. A guy wants to be an a-hole. He's allowed to be an a-hole. Oh, not if he offends.
He's definitely allowed to be a misogynist. What he's not allowed to do is start punching people out. That's
Why not? We just said if anybody else punches anybody else out, they don't go to jail for the first one. Why is it so bad? He punched his wife and 20,000 other people got punched this year. What is so special about him punching his wife? That's the question. What is so special about his punch out of his wife?
Look, one of the, any of those people punching anybody out, it should be equivalent.
Nobody goes anywhere. They go down there and they go, I'm sorry. Two guys. All right, you guys, you've seen the judge do this a million times. All right, are you two really over the feud? I don't want to see anybody driving their car onto the lawn, knocking over the shrubs. We've all seen this. Yes, Your Honor, that's it. All right, I'm expunging everybody's record. Go back to work, and I don't want to see you guys again. Now, what if he gets that? If he gets that, he's back on the field making money. He's back on the field making money. He's not walking around like he looks like Judas Iscariot now. Like he sold out Jesus Christ himself. I mean, this guy didn't kill anybody. Osama bin Laden killed everybody.
Ultimately, he will. I think he will be on the field. I don't really have much doubt about that, whether it's going to be a year, 2 years, whatever. The big issue here is not, I really cannot believe it's so much him. I think it's what we consider the cover-up. What happened?
Cover-up? There's no crime. You got to have a crime. You got to have a crime to have a cover-up. You can't have a cover-up without a crime. This is not a crime. It's not a crime. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. The public doesn't really perceive that. The liberal media is publishing every whiny bitch with a vagina on this subject. Don't tell me the public buys this. They're putting vaginas every 2 seconds on TV that hate men. This validates the male-hating point of view. It's popular to hate men. Come on. It's popular to hate men to begin with.
There's a lot of, we definitely know a lot of male haters. I
totally. Come on. This is their dream. It's their dream come true. This is if the glove doesn't fit for them. This is just like when OJ got off on the glove. This is their moment. This is where their big lie about what victims they are. They're so victim-y that they're making billions of dollars in Facebook telling everybody how to be. They're so full of victims that every female senator is surging in politics. They're such victims. My ass. Not a victim. A victim is somebody who's crying, please help me. A victim is not somebody who says, hey, go back to your own life. I don't need to explain to you what my husband and I do when we're drunk. I'm like, you tell him, girl. It's America. You don't answer to people about your private life, even if they want it. You tell them to suck your ass. Say, suck my ass. You don't get this stuff. Right. Well, that's what works. That's what's honest. That's what's true. Not this chicken little garbage. Oh, my God. You know what this means for other women? You know what it means for the rest of the NFL? You know what it means for everybody? You know what a bunch of... It's just propaganda to keep the cause going. Victim. We're still victims. It's still victimhood. It's been victimhood since you and I were children. The first thing they brought up, victimhood, and we're still on victimhood. I'm 58 years old. 60 years of victimhood. When is victimhood ever over? It never ends because it's sexy. It's hot. It gets people's buttons, but it's nonsense. All right, so what do you come down on ultimately? This is a real social problem that he exemplifies, or is this a politically correct hypersensitivity?
Oh, it's definitely a social problem, but I see it in a broader context between, like I said, like you said, it's a hot button issue. It's the same thing with Turner. It's the same thing with Pete Rose. Why is he banned? I mean, here's the other way.
Pete Rose,
go the other way.
Pete Rose, listen, Pete Rose is a problem.
Why is he
What's
banned
his
from
problem?
baseball,
Because
why
he's
can't
in
he get in the Hall of Fame.
Why? Because you know why? Why? Not because he gambled. Why? Why is Pete Rose not in the Hall of Fame? And it's not about gambling because because
a lot of guys didn't like him.
Because he is a complete drunken a-hole, and nobody wants to help him. Right. So when you need forgiveness, and you're an a-hole, you shouldn't get it. If Pete Rose was humble, he would have been in the Hall of Fame back when I worked with Pete Rose and I worked together. We had talk shows adjacent to each other in West Palm Beach on JNO. So I had to see Pete Rose's ugly face, disgusting. Yeah, his ugly face and his disgusting attitude and his entitlement attitude. I had to see it like every day for like a month, and then he moved the show to someplace else. But for a month,
look, he comes off as an obnoxious guy, but still, I mean, he played the game. I mean, this is
but he needs forgiveness, though. He needs forgiveness. See, this guy that beat up his wife went in there polite and said I was wrong. Pete Rose has never gone in polite once in 40 years and said I was wrong. If you go in polite, Ferguson, in the streets of Ferguson, if you're in the street polite, you don't get clubbed when you're polite. But if you're a dick, what do you think they're going to do if it's a judgment call? I mean, no one told him to gamble. He gambled a lot. So when he got caught, he needed to be forgiven. Well, he mouthed off to Giamatti, and that was it. Giamatti's like, I'm not this. What the hell? I'm not letting you off. He goes, you're still an a-hole. You're the same a-hole. You'll gamble after we give it back to you. We'll give it back to you. You'll be gambling again. So that's so. He wrecked it.
That's the dynamic. I just don't think it's right. I mean, I think these guys should have say, look.
Look, the Hall of Fame is not a legal right. It's just a bunch of sports writers. The other guy's going losing his paycheck. This guy's losing his paycheck over here at the prime of his career. And now he's been made into a devil, which, mark my words, this will fuel racism. In a couple of weeks, they're going to link this to a witch hunt against a black guy. And I don't blame them. I would agree with that. I would say it is a witch hunt. They're using him because he looks the part. They want to see a guy who's brutish do something too far, and it proves to them what Obama and the whole crowd believes. Football's not even a good game. I wouldn't put my kid in football. You think I want my kid getting a concussion? Now he'd be able to say, you think I want my son so physically aggressive, smacking his fiance because he's in a bad mood, and that's what he does when he gets drunk? It plays into the stereotype of the anti-football, anti-everything. All right, well, listen, we got another big one. if you think that's controversial, I hope you have a long drive ahead of you, because this is.
They still got a while.
We can
still ruffle a few feathers head.
All right, here we go, because this one I know you're going to find it very difficult. But 18 months ago on this air, doing this crazy long show that I do from hours and hours, I predicted boldly and without any reservation that Oscar Pistorius would not be guilty of murder. I said that.
Right.
Everybody said, what are you, nuts? Bah, 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 bah. Okay, so he did not murder her. The judge says there's no way you proved that he knew that he was going to kill her or that he was going to kill anybody. Now, is he guilty of pulling the trigger? Of course. What are you going to do? You can't give him a pass on the trigger. Now, the question to you is, how light is this sentence going to be?
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's going to be more on the light side than the heavy side, to tell you the truth. Way I heard the judge react to it and said that, that he had basically overreacted. I could see him getting like 3 to 5 years, then really get down maybe 2, something like that. That's
it. And guess what? And guess what happens then? I think you're absolutely right. I think you're right on the money. Guess what happens then? Time served. All that time he's at trial gets subtracted. So what's going to happen? This guy's going to be out in no time. It's going to go down as a tragic accident, that he's responsible for. He should have known. He never should have fired. But they'll never prove that he was trying to. And that other girl who used to date him said today in the media, she goes, that could have been me. That could have been me. So anyway.
Hey, look, that's what it's about. It's about proving, that whatever it is, you have to,
you do. You really do. You could be very upset about what he did, and he should pay under the law for what you know what it's very much like? He was very much like a drunk driver. He was in a rage. He was in a rage of fear. He was terrified of whatever it was, and he shot first. That's it. He didn't think. He didn't rationalize anything. He just went boom, 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 and shot. Now, did he really intend to kill his girlfriend? There should be some evidence that he did. I mean, how come she's not beaten up? You got a punch. If she took a punch in the face like Ray Rice's girl and then she was dead, you'd say, well, he's going to jail for that. So there was no scuffle. There's no evidence of the scuffle. There was nothing. So he goes right from zero asleep to intending to. I mean, it's a little bit much. So I don't know. I think he screamed. I think the screams are his. When the public says there was a shrieking scream, I'm sure it was when he saw her laying there. I'm sure when he kicked that, when he got that, yeah, I'm sure the minute
I could, look, who knows what happened? Yeah, it's, all that comes down to is how far you can go in that court, and that's basically what they can.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about Rice, right? Ray Rice, the same thing. We're never going to know everything you need to know. So in some areas, if somebody's dead, you have to go all the way through, saying, all right, look, we don't know, so this is what we're going to give them. Because we don't really know, this is what we're going to give them. And with this other guy in the elevator, if you look at what other people get, here's the one they brought up. I know I shouldn't be going back to the old subject, but I didn't bring it up to you to ask your opinion. Merriweather, the fighter, has gone to jail for domestic abuse, repeated and threatening to kill his wife, and all he's done jail time. And he fought last night and made an incredible purse. And they said, how could you let a guy fight publicly when he is convicted, of this felony or it was probably a high misdemeanor. I don't want to call him a felon, but he went to jail. He did jail time.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about that? Should they boycott the fight when they find out that he's been to jail for threatening to kill his wife and beating her? What would you do? Would you then not go to that fight? I'm not going to go watch that fight.
I mean, look, it comes down to once he does his time, that's it. I mean, he's done his time related to, what he committed, and now people have to make a personal decision whether they want to be that guy's fan or not. That's something else. But you're right. I mean, after that, and like I said, this goes back to what we were talking before. I really don't. I mean, there's a zillion guys out there who take shots at their wife, who also don't take shots and basically try to intimidate them to tell them they are going to take shots. That all happens. The bigger picture here, I think, is what's going on with the NFL and how they're really going to go after the NFL. And it comes down to, like you're saying, Goodell is a good guy. In certain ways, he's got to try twice as hard now to justify that because if you hit one of these, like you said, radioactive issues, forget it. Everybody's going to go after you. And I see it the same thing with these other things that have happened within the past 5 years. Once you hit that, it's almost, even if you are like this sort of guy trying to make the best decision, once you come down on the wrong side of the issue where people feel really strong about it, you're going to have a hard time digging out of a hole.
Right. That's the thing. From Jump Street, you have to reject the premise that you're in charge of this. He shouldn't have finessed it. He should have drawn the line and said, look, this went to a court. That's who you should be talking to. I stand by the decision of the court. So like any other employee of my organization, if the court diverted him and said he was a good person and we're not sending him anywhere because we want him to live his life right, then if that would have been his... But let me ask you another sports question that came out today. This one is another one. Danny Ferry used to be a great player, all right? Now he's a general manager in the NBA. Do you remember Danny Ferry? I think he was on the Boston Celtics. Ring a bell to you at all, Danny Ferry, the basketball player who's now a general manager?
No.
Okay.
No.
He was a famous player, a very well-liked player, a good shooter, point guard kind of guy. Now, after his career, he's in management on a team. So, natural thing. He gets on the phone with a guy, and they're talking about a scouting report, talking about a player. And he goes, look, I got to tell you, this guy, he might have a little too much African in him.
Oh, I did hear about this. Okay, just recognize the name.
Right. And he went on to say, what I mean by that, he goes, I don't mean to say that in a racist way. He goes, all I'm saying is, in the front of the store, everything looks clean. When you go in the back of the store, he's selling counterfeit out the back door.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
now they say this guy will not last another day. They say by the end of the weekend he'll be out of a job. Now he claims what it was told to him. He was reading off a scouting report that this is the word on the guy. This was not what he decided. This is what's been told to him. So that's his defense. His defense is, this is what the guy said to me. He goes, what do you want me to say? This is what the scout told me, that the word is blah, blah, blah. So the way he phrased it, he says, was the way it was told to him. All right, so go ahead. What do you think about that? It's not my words. I'm repeating what somebody said to me.
Right. And I said, this is the second guy, what is it, the past few weeks, was it the guy from the Atlanta Hawks, right? He mentioned about how a lot of the white fans would be scared of the black fans.
That was going to be right. That was going to be my next one. I was going to ask you about that one too. Okay, so go ahead. You could go get both of them. Tell me about either one of those cases.
Well, it's where we're at now when it comes to any dialogue. The problem is we do not have any sort of real dialogue, in my opinion. I mean, these guys, look, a lot of these guys really, they do harbor these views, and basically they'll make, metaphors or whatever toward things which are like the old sort of things that we grew up with, which were racist back in the day, and still are racist. But the thing is, you don't have the sort of thing where basically you can look at that at the same time, I don't believe in this, we should do this. It really comes down to we don't have a dialogue where basically people, where we go out and speak honestly. I mean, I think there's no harbor racist views, and they're all out.
Let me ask it this way, okay? Are we going to have to, in order to be free, put up with what we don't like hearing from people and giving space Oh, we lost it. I had a feeling you might be dropping out. All right, we'll get Bob Bell back. Great having Bob Bell with us.